Alright guys, I'm going to talk to you today about how the Zman Turbo Crawz compares to the Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Craw. The Zoom Speed Craw has been around for a long time. It's one of my favorite baits, one of the most versatile little baits there is. You can use that thing as a finesse little Texas rig bait, on a Carolina rig, as a jig trailer. You can even use it as a little topwater bait, like a small horny toad almost, along with shaky head and a variety of other presentations. So the Speed Craw is always in my bag. When the bite is tough, I will pull out the Speed Craw and just go to flipping or doing whatever with it. It's a great little bait and I'll always have one around. But I'm always looking to improve and add to the arsenal if I can. And the Speed Craw is it's a smaller bait, and I don't really like the action of the Super Speed Craw as much. So I'm always on the lookout for either not a replacement, but something to add to it that's similar. And when I came across the Turbo Crawz, the Zman Turbo Crawz, it kind of piqued my interest because the claws have the same shape and look like they would have the same action. It's got a similar profile, but it's just slightly bigger. So I wanted to compare the two and see what I thought, see if I could either add to or use this instead of the Speed Craw sometimes. So let's check it out. All right, so we'll look at length first. You can see I put it on my catch carbonate there. They're almost the same length. The Turbo Crawz is just slightly over 4.5 inches. The Speed Craw just right under the 4.5 inch mark. But from the top down, you can see the Turbo Crawz is a little bulkier than the body than the Speed Craw. And the pinchers on the side are all bunched together towards the head as opposed to spread out like on the Speed Craw there. So once again, side by side, the claws have that similar shape that gives the Speed Craw that good action, but they're a little bit wider and they've got some raised bumps on there. No tentacles on the front of the Speed Craw. It's got a couple on the front of the Z-Man bait. And it's got slightly different ridges along the back. The body definitely looks a little girthier than the Speed Craw. Now let's talk about weight. 0.21 ounces on the Zoom. 0.20 ounces on the Turbo Crawz. So pretty much the same weight. Turbo Crawz is slightly lighter, even though it's a little bulkier. And I think that has to do with what I'm going to talk about next, which is what they're made out of. They're about the same weight, even though the Z-Man's a little bulkier. But the main deal is the Z-Man, as everyone probably knows, these are all made out of Elastec. The Zoom baits are a traditional soft plastic, salt impregnated soft plastic. So the fall rate and how they act in the water, even though they have a similar design, is going to be a little bit different. We've got some underwater footage to show you the difference. All right, so first up is going to be the Zoom Speed Craw. Just went out to a little local creek, dropped it in, tried to get some good footage of it. As you can see, it falls pretty fast. You can see that traditional leg kick for anybody familiar with the Speed Craw. It still wants to stand up rather than fall over, but it definitely has a direct fall to the bottom. It's got a little 3/16 ounce weight on it, not pegged. And now for the Turbo Crawz, look at that. Right away you can see it's not pegged, same hook, same weight, and if it's not in contact with the weight, it wants to float up. I can see how this would help on a silty bottom or it with some light vegetation, on a Carolina rig if you're dragging it across vegetation, or if you use it in that manner like I talked about the Speed Craw earlier, using it like a topwater frog. The thing wants to float and it's going to stay up for you in a much different fashion than the Speed Craw. So bottom line, I'm never going to get rid of the Speed Craw. Love the Zoom Speed Craw, but with that Elastec material and that buoyancy that the Elastec material provides, with that similar claw action, the Turbo Craw is definitely going to have a place in my bag of soft plastics. Thank y'all for watching. As always, don't forget to hit that subscribe and notification bell before you go. Thank y'all.